heading junior sailing, and Pat and Larry came in with a real hotshot son of theirs, Brian, a very competitive sailor, and we enjoyed working with him and seeing him progress in the program. Also, his number was very similar, I think, to Dylan, our son's number, so there was always a mix-up, and Dylan would say, I didn't think I did that well. Well, you didn't. But that was a great experience. And also, outside of the club, on another note, Pat and Larry have been very helpful for us. They happened to build a house right before we did, so we got a lot of good advice from them as well on that. I look forward to her counsel and welcome her to the team. And again, thanks again. Thanks, Pat. Come on up.
Good morning. Flag officers, past Commodores, trustees, and fellow members, I'm really honored and excited to have been asked to serve as a flag officer here at Little Egg. I have to tell you, when Jody, in her very nonchalant, stealth way, asked me one night after ladies sailing if I would just talk to her, if she had a question for me, I was taken completely by surprise. I never expected to be standing here in front of you with this opportunity, and for that I thank you. First, I'd like to thank Larry, my wonderful husband, who has always been supportive of me, and I'm sure will be supportive over the next 3 years. Our sons, Brian and Jacob, are also excited, and unfortunately they can't be here today. Jacob's already back in California at school. Larry and I joined Little Egg in 2003, primarily for the competitive sailing program, as Bud had said, for both of our sons. And as parents do, we were looking for something that would really engage them. We were looking for opportunities for them to succeed and flourish. Our older son, Brian, had already been competing in Opties and really wanted to compete on a higher level, possibly regionally and nationally, so we came here. We knew of the long sailing traditions of Little Egg, as Larry had been friends with the Hurdlins and the O'Neill family since childhood. Larry's always loved to sail and had been on sailing excursions with the Hurdlins as well as many of his own. Just as an aside, I was tested very early on for my water worthiness. Larry took me out on one of our first dates and said, we're going to go water skiing. I'd never been water skiing, I had skied once. Luckily, I got up, skied, and I was able to continue on. But I'm always trying to keep up with him. Anyway, Jennifer and Joe O'Neill encouraged us to join and sponsored us for membership, and we were literally off to the races with many of the sailing families here. That's when we really got to know Bud and Cheryl, Dave and Louise, the Pillings, and many of the other kids and families that were sailing at that time. The junior program far exceeded our expectations, and our children thrived. We were happy to join in the activities and volunteer to help with events. We made many new friends and were overwhelmed by how warmly we were accepted into the club. Suffice it to say, we probably should have paid a little more attention to who we were becoming friends with and how many times we had said yes to volunteer opportunities. 2 years later, we were asked to run the junior sailing program, working with Julie and Pat Green. It was really a gratifying and rewarding experience for me. I loved meeting the families that were coming in and working with them to understand sailing and get them started on their journey with their own kids. When it came time to pass the torch, the program had gotten a bit unwieldy and we had to do a little reorganizing to find our next junior sailing coordinators. I owe a lot to past Commodore Oakers for his support and help in shaping the sailing director position that we offered to Catherine Lundgren in 2005. I also want to thank P.C. Riley for his support of our plan to restructure the junior sailing program. Although at the time, honestly, I was probably much more focused on Frank's steadfast assurance that I would not be running the program the following year. Since then, I've been on the trophy and sailing committees, and Egg Feeder staffer. Larry and I have co-chaired Twilight Sail, District 10 Laser Regatta, and worked on many other events. And in case you don't know, I'm chairing the Opti ACCs in October this year. Our history with the club is not as long and storied as the families that have been here for generations, but we've embraced club traditions. We've all raced in the parent-child races. Larry and Jacob sailed to victory one year, while my own Opti experience was, let's say, a little bit more humbling. Brian was in the past Masters race last week, and in 2005, he was really honored to be on the winning Barclay Cup team. Both boys have had many opportunities to sail, learn, win, lose, and just have plain old fun here. Brian, our older son, graduated from Lafayette College just past spring and is working in Bethlehem, launching a startup. He was on the Opti National Development Team and went on to sail laser radials. Jacob is a sophomore, probably a biochem major at Harvey Mudd College in California, and he's already been sent back. He served as JYC secretary one summer, and he worked as an instructor in the program another summer. As I was considering my decision to accept the nomination, I thought about the support and influence I had received over the years from one of LBI's female sailing legends, Faye Bennett. Since so many of you know her, I don't hesitate to bring her up here and let you know the influence that she had on me. We were neighbors, and Faye would often offer me straight-up advice about sailing, advocate for rules and traditions. She would counsel us if there was a problem with one of the boys and we had to have a protest, or there were always things that seemed to be coming up. Usually I was standing in the blazing sun and she was in her nice, cool, big car, and I was standing out in the sun in front of our house. She helped me to better understand the sport and the Corinthian spirit under which everyone sails and competes. She got me involved in the LBI YRA as she thought it would help me to learn more about sailing. Although she's no longer with us, her influence is still present. For example, last week when I was talking to Gail Greenwald, she told me about the proper length of the uniform skirt. They had told her first time that hers wasn't quite right and needed to be adjusted. While Ralph was taking my picture last week, Patty Herman came by and she shouted out advice on how to adjust the hat. Tilt it forward a little more. She said that Faye had given her the advice on how to properly wear the hat. I can only imagine the pithy advice she might give me today, but I'd appreciate it knowing the spirit in which it was given. The night before I called Jody back, I wrote down all of the obvious pros and cons of accepting the nomination, but I kept coming back to one nagging concern that I couldn't resolve. The logistics and the planning weren't a problem. The calendar was going to happen one way or another. There are obvious challenges of diplomacy with so many varied personalities, but I'd already worked with junior sailing, had an idea of what that was about. Check, everything seemed okay, but there was still one concern I couldn't overcome. I'm a little reticent to tell you about this, but I want to be honest. For me, the biggest obstacle is the hat. I know it's actually called a cap in yachting terminology, but to me, it's a hat. It's the one thing I just didn't know if I could manage. I've never been much of a hat person at all. I was worried, would it look okay? Would it stay on my head? Would I be seen chasing it down the dock at the opening? Would I remember when to take it off, when to put it on? Wouldn't it just be shaped a little better? I know all of the PCs in the front are thinking, oh my gosh, she has no idea what she's in for if she's focused on the hat. Either way, I really needed to address this issue. So really, I sat and thought about it, and in actuality, I think I learned that there was really a much bigger question at play here. Being asked to wear the Little Egg hat is an honor that comes with a responsibility to the mission and traditions of this club, a responsibility to honor the history of the past 100 years. And I realized that the hat question to me was really, could I live up to these expectations? Did I want to take this opportunity that you so kindly offered me, and with it, take on the role required of the hat? The short answer is yes. And part of my inspiration to accept the nomination was also fueled by my admiration and respect for the flag officers who've led this club during our tenure here and also before. They've led us with grace and carried us through our centennial year, positioning us for the next 100 years. I look forward to proudly wearing the LEHYC hat and working with all of you to continue to make the club the community we all want it to be. I want to give back to the club that is so generously given to me and my family. Dave and Louise, Bud and Cheryl, Larry and I look forward to working with you and serving with you. And Tom and Claire, thank you very much for what you've done.